The master is the overall responsible for safety of the cargo, from port of loading to the discharge port as per agreed contract of carriage. The master's responsibility to ensure that the cargo offered for shipment is properly cared during the voyage. During the prevailing weather condition, periodic checks should be carried out. Regular rounds of cargo decks should be carried. Temperature monitoring and control are also the responsibility of the carrier. So there are factors under cargo handling. So the following are the factors. First is the cargo stowage, cargo securing, ship's equipment, general safety precaution, ventilation, stability, communication, repair of the incurred during loading and unloading, so damage incurred. Cargo handling where conditions are common and how to avoid them. So first is wearing of PPE or personal protective equipment. So when the ship is in loading or unloading operations, the wearing of PPE is a must, especially if the ship is undergoing cargo handling operation, which involves many dangerous equipment and exposure to hazard. So there are following reasons why we should wear PPE. So falling debris. PPE can protect us from falling debris. Poor lighting areas. One can be seen easily if wearing PPE. In case of fire, someone can avoid them being burned if they wear PPE.
So, good morning, sir. So now we're going to talk about the common accident in the cargo handling. Common accident of cargo handling is heavy equipment. Heavy equipment pose both a benefit and a potential risk. Though it is undoubtedly a great help to make things faster in a cargo operation, it is really impossible to move huge cargos. The simple means such as we would always look for more power to keep things moving. Though the one that should operate the machineries are the one that are qualified and has undergone training to do so. In operating heavy equipments, there are many accidents that are recorded, though out all the cargo operation, just like a forklift dropping its carried load or ramming another forklift, and worse, hitting a personnel that happens to be on its path. But the heavy equipments that has the most common accidents is the crane. Crane accident occur when there remain significant safety issues to be considered both for the operator of the cranes and for those working near cranes. Cranes accidents are very most terrifying, and just seeing one happen will give you nightmares. So to avoid accident from operating the crane, here are some cited examples. First, CPR should complete an inspection. Second, always complete field level hazard assessment. Third, complete a plan. Fourth, know your ground condition. And fifth is always watch where you're standing. That's all. Thank you.
One of the working accidents occur on board ship is working in areas with poor ventilation that causes suffocation. In this practice, suffocation would tend to lead to certain deaths if not treated immediately. Such accidents occur mainly when the ship's crew enter a confined space which is not properly gas-filled and has several pockets of toxic or flammable gases. Many officers still neglect the enclosed space entry procedures, risking their lives and other crew members' lives. Seafarers must be extremely cautious while entering enclosed spaces. So, when working in an enclosed space, here are some cited examples to do it safely. So, first, always check if a permit is required. Then, second, ensure that the atmosphere has been tested and is safe so that you can enter. Third, confirm that all energy, machinery, and fluids and gases have been isolated and locked out. And lastly, make sure that you have in place an appropriate rescue plan with your co-workers before entry, including watchman. And you should also be equipped with the required PPE or be fitted with the EPR or the air purify respirator when working on areas with poor ventilation.
So one of the most important things to do in a cargo operation is securing of cargoes that are put on the ship. A proper securing of cargoes is executed when the objectives that are done are all according to the CSM. Now the CSM means the Cargo Securing Manual. So what is a CSM? So a CSM specifies arrangements and cargo securing devices provided on board the ship for the correct application to and the securing of cargo units based on transverse, longitudinal, and vertical forces which may arise during adverse weather and sea conditions. Although this is a very crucial matter for merchant vessels, that cargo operations, the cargo securing, it still has its fair share of mishaps. Now, that often leads to the devious consequences. Now, an example of this would be a deck cargo being washed out towards the sea due to slap lashing. Next is damage to cargoes due to clashing with one another. And lastly, next is personnel being hurt due to the moving of cargoes from lashings being undone. And lastly, which is probably the worst thing to happen, is capsizing the ship due to a shift in center of gravity caused by the moving of cargoes. Now, to be able to avoid the aforementioned complications, here are some cited examples that would help seafarers do a proper securing of cargoes. Now, first, the cargo should always be secured in accordance the approved cargo securing manual. Next is, cargo securing equipment should be well maintained and certified as per requirement of CSM or SMS or Safety Management System. Next is, vehicle should be properly parked, the engine switched off, and the brakes applied prior being secured. Wheels also be choked. Next is, cargo should preferably be secured in the fore and aft direction. Next, lashing on vehicles should all be under equal tension. Special considerations should be made for large vehicles, tracked vehicles, and any cargo with high center of gravity with additional lashing applied. Consideration should be given to weight of cargo, dimension, expected sea condition, and stowage position of the ship. Fragile cargo should be stowed toward the center line of the ship and on lower decks. Where cargo is stowed at the end of the ship and on the upper decks. Additional precautions should be taken when lashing to minimize the large forces that would act on the cargo in a heavy sea due to pitching. And lastly, securing should be completed prior to leaving berth.